DIRadioCast.com. This is Africa Allah, and we are live for another episode of DI on Live. And today I'm speaking with Jason Carter of ONE Musicfest, and he's going to tell us all about the inspiration behind unity through music. Jason, welcome to today's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, tell us a little bit about Jason Carter. Who are you?
Where am I? All right. Well, I've been doing events in Atlanta for about 15 years. Relocated from Atlanta from Harlem, New York City. Back in my teenage years. Went on to Florida A&M. Did some things down there in entertainment and music and film. And I came back to Atlanta and decided to take my business background and my passion for music and the arts to keep kind of building on the entertainment scene in Atlanta.
So you're from Harlem.
I'm from Harlem.
Harlem in the building. That's what's up. Okay, New York. So being from Harlem and like the whole influence of the Harlem, just the whole Harlem feel. You have the Apollo, you have the jazz in the park and all of those things, right? How did your New York experience prepare you for your entertainment life?
That's a good question. I think growing up in New York, while I was growing up in New York, I was exposed to a lot of different types of music and people. And that was very different when I moved to Atlanta. In New York, you can walk down one city block and be at a Lebanese restaurant, a Puerto Rican restaurant, an African, Ethiopian restaurant, soul food restaurant, Chinese, everything. We just kind of forced to kind of all live together and kind of, digest a little bit of everybody's culture. So you get a little bit of that in Atlanta, but I always thought that music was a good piece to kind of help bring folks together. You know what I'm saying? We all kind of listen to the same music, but we listen to it in our own little separate silos. So that was kind of the premise around ONE Musicfest, to kind of grab different areas of quote-unquote brown music and kind of bring these different communities and circles together. Now,
I remember a couple years back you had Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, MC Light, like you just had the bomb, right? It was like the greatest old school show to end off the night for ONE Musicfest. And Dougie Fresh kept saying unity through music. I'm like, I thought we were at ONE Musicfest. So I'm like, is he incorrect? And then as I went and I read on, I think during that evening you actually came on and talked a little bit about the concept of unity through music. So tell us what inspired you to actually create this particular event, because you're in your 5th year now, right?
It's our 5th year. Year.
So you've been doing shows successfully for 15 years in Atlanta, but 5 years ago there was something that inspired you to do unity through music. Talk a little bit about that.
I've always wanted to do an outdoor festival that kind of embraced all different types of music and people. When I say people, it's not only culture and race, it's young and old. That year that you're talking about, we had some hip-hop legends on stage, but we still had Big Crit and Santa Gold performing and Marsha Ambrosius, and so it was a wide breadth of different types of music with hopes that the different fan base of these different artists all kind of intersect at one point, and that one point being ONE Musicfest. So it's Atlanta's different. Atlanta, it ain't nothing for one. We made this comment the other day about the HOV lane in Atlanta is for 2 people. City is like for 3-4 people, because Atlanta's trying to force people to kind of carpool and buddy up and interact a little bit more with people. It's not a real pedestrian city. So, if I can use music to kind of bridge the gaps between communities and people, and get these folks out of their house and out of their cars and all come together to party, under the umbrella of good music, then that's I mean, that's a powerful thing. So that was the mindset behind One Music. And you know, and I'm a music lover.
Hello? Wow, you dropped her a little bit, but that's okay. You're back. So you're a music lover.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're a music lover. Now, I remember that same year, that I think that was 2012. That actually, as a result of One Music Fest, I purchased a couple artists' music that I had never listened to. Like, I was a fan of Santiago.
Yep.
After her performance made me a fan. I was a fan of Big Crit after his performance. Like, I've never, like, the way the crowd, the energy in the crowd made me want to go and purchase his music. And as a DJ, you know, I usually get a lot of music. And I've been getting music and hearing about this Big Crit, but, you know, it's Southern music, and I'm from New York, so I'm like, I bet. So I just figured it was some, like, snap music. But when I saw the performance, it was like, there was no denying that I had to get more involved with this artist.
So
I went back and actually bought his catalog, went and found all his mixtapes. My brother is a big Crit fan. So he sent me all of his music. He was like, yo, I'm so glad you finally came over. And it was like really dope. And last year, you guys had another eclectic group of people. Of course, you know, again, I'm a hip hop chick, so like I really rocked out on the hip hop stage, but I also went and checked out all of the quote unquote alternative type music.
Right.
And outside of just the music, you guys even bring a diversity of culture from the food vending trucks.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of inspired that? You know, having the food trucks, and just having food trucks as opposed to having vending stations.
Well, one, I truly support like entrepreneurs, like yourself and me. It's tough, you know. It's tough, and I think for somebody, you know, who kind of put together their resources and funds and to create a mobile restaurant dining experience. I mean, that's very commendable. So I think it's easy, you know, for us to kind of just set up a big old barbecue grill and sell some ribs and chicken wings. But you know what? But again, like you asked earlier about or prior to us going live about the economic impact and how you can I guess use what you built to help others and kind of move the culture along in Atlanta. So to get the food trucks involved, I think was very important, you know, and they're all diverse in the types of food that they serve. You know what I mean? If you want chicken and waffles, you can have chicken and waffles. If you want a pork pulled sandwich, go for it. If you want some little Caribbean twist, we got that as well. You know, we got, you know, Chinese food tacos. You know, it's just I think the food adds to the experience as well. You know, we used to do like a big seafood fest as well at One Music, and that kind of gets difficult to actually build out. I mean, seafood is kind of tricky. So we may try to bring that back as well. But I think food and music kind of go hand in hand with bringing people together.
Now, what, you know, well, yeah, I would love for you guys to have a vegan. What
was the question? I lost you.
I would love for you guys to have a vegan truck this year, please. Thank you.
A vegan? I think we had that last year. We didn't?
I had fries. I had to eat fries all day because I was like, that's the only vegetable that was out there.
I thought we had a vegan truck. No?
Well, maybe you did. Maybe you did, and I missed it. But yeah, please make sure that you guys have that.
It was in scent that kept pulling you away from the lettuce wrap.
It might have been because, you know, the vegan trucks stay packed because the people that eat vegetables, that's the only truck they'll go to.
Right. But I think we're gonna have one this year for you.
All right, cool. Now, you talked about briefly the economy. I want to know, when you first started, how did you get people to buy into the concept? Because we're talking about 5 years ago. That's what, 2009, right?
2010, actually, yeah.
2010. So how did you get people to actually buy into the concept of this One Music Fest?
I think Atlanta's ready for it. I really do. When you say buying, you talking about the people, or you talking about like sponsors?
Well, both. You know, the people, of course, we're going to gravitate towards it, especially if it's good music. But getting the sponsors behind you, because I know that that's the hardest part of putting together a project, whether it's a small project or a large-scale project such as the One Music Fest.
Yeah, sponsors is very difficult. But prior to doing One Music Fest, I did a lot of brand marketing and a lot of the events that I was creating. I also worked closely with a lot of liquor distribution companies and brands. So I kind of courted them for a while. I let them know that this was something I was thinking about for a couple of years. So they knew it was coming. And then the stars just kind of aligned for us. And one of the ad agencies that we were working with was also working with Vibe magazine. And then in turn, Vibe was also doing a campaign for Minnie. And so we all kind of talked and came together, and they was like, you know what, we need an event, a good live outdoor music event where we can showcase our cars, and you know, and this is the amount of money we're working with. What do you think we can do? And so that was my calling. That was the knock at the door, and I said, okay, this is the year we're doing One Music Fest. So just kind of pulled all our resources together and made it happen. And the momentum brought us to here 5 years later.
So now you're 5 years later, and you have some of the biggest. Well, all right. Again, me being a hip hop head, you know, like you brought out Nas. Nas is celebrating 20 years of Illmatic. Like, this is crazy.
Like, Nas is my favorite. He's my favorite hip hop artist, hands down. Period. Has always been. Anybody that knows me knows. Ever since Halftime on the Zebrahead soundtrack, Nas that's been my artist. You know, I resonate more with him as an artist than anybody else. So that was an honor just to get him on board. And then Kendrick Lamar, I think he's right now and the future. So his content, the way he handles himself on and off stage, you know, he's hip hop to me, through and through. So yeah, the lineup is crazy. Amel is coming back. She got sick on us last year, but now she's better. She's doing better, so she's coming back this year. Alice Smith, I'm a huge fan of. She's gonna kill it. If y'all not familiar with Alice Smith, definitely do a search for Alice Smith. Check out some of her early music and her current stuff. Daly, little blue-eyed soul, you know, getting that in there. Daly's a bad dude. He's just coming off tour with Matt.
Well, I think the week leading up to One Music Fest, I'm actually going to do a show featuring all of the artists.
Basically, telling me to shut up. You got this covered.
Yeah. I was saying, you know,
we good.
Leading up to One Music Fest, the week leading up to One Music Fest, which will be that first week of September, we're going to actually do a One Music Fest show where we're going to play all of the artists that are going to be on there. Of course, you know, all of the Nas joints and Redman, Method Man joints.
I didn't know that. That's a nice surprise. Okay.
Oh, we do it for all of the festivals that happen here. So anytime we have a big festival, we have one from last year too. Check it out. Okay. But yeah, so we're gonna make sure that we get you covered, get people amped up and ready to go out to One Music Fest.
Nice.
Now, we talked about getting the people out and getting the sponsors. Like, you have relationships, and I think that that's imperative for people when they're putting together shows, because the other part of this is that you're a producer. You're producing this content, but this content is on a grand scale. And I think that people that are out there aspiring to do something similar, if not on this scale, even on a smaller base, need to understand the importance of relationships when creating a product. Tell us a little bit, you know, from your brand marketing background. How do people actually create relationships so that they can produce products that are going to impact the community and specific sections of the community?
That's a great question.
I know it's long-winded, but you know.
Nah, as far as to build those relationships, I mean, it takes time. It takes time, and you really have to, honestly, you really have to put your sponsors and your clients' message first. I mean, so many times I think we're so caught up in what we want to do that we don't listen to our clients. So you get caught up in your moment. You know, they may cut you a check, and you off and running trying to use their money to create your event, but their message gets lost in a shuffle, or it gets lost in whatever you're trying to produce. So are they gonna come back and cut you a check next year? Probably not. So now you got to fight another battle to win another check. So I mean, if you listen to your clients, listen to their message, and you perform well for them, they actually in turn bring you more business. You know, it's I mean, it's a snowball effect. I mean, if you got Coca-Cola rocking with you in year one, you know, Pepsi wants in year two. It's just what it is. I mean, especially if you do a successful campaign for them. So it's not pitting brands against each other, but if you do right by folks, it's recognized.
So in saying that, how do you keep the balance between relaying the sponsors or the client's message as well as keeping the message and the tone of your product?
Well, they're calling you also for a reason, because, or be it they accepted your presentation or your packet for a reason as well, because they want to get in front of your audience. You have something that they want. I mean, if this was day one, I mean, it'd be a little bit different. I mean, if I just started producing events today and I was running after these sponsors, I probably would not have them on board. You know, so it looks like it popped up quick, but yeah, I mean, it's 10 years of relationships and working that kind of went into this thing. So I think it's they want to get in front of your audience just as much as you need their capital to make this thing work. So I mean, it's a good marriage. It's a good marriage. It goes hand in hand. Heineken was on board for our first couple of years, and we had Miller Coors, and now Heineken is back. Minnie has been with us last year in our first year. Pepsi has been with us from day one. We weren't able to do Pepsi this year because we're in a Coca-Cola venue. But when you do right by folks, I mean, they will continue to come back. And Gentleman Jack, Brown-Forman, Jack Daniels, they've been with us from day one. Love those folks over there. We do great business together. So again, we keep delivering for them, and they keep coming back.
Now, when you have let's say you have a 10, 15-year relationship, and these are people that you've known for years and you've done things with, or you've just conversed with them and you've kept them in the pocket waiting for that moment. Mm-hmm. How do you go about the acts? Because it's often hard, you're like, oh, I don't want to ask him for this, but like, I know that this would be great for this particular company. How do you go about the acts after having a relationship that you've been sitting on for a while?
You said the axe or the ask?
Ask. A-S-K. A-S-K.
Gotcha. As far as asking for their involvement and funds.
Now, this is a relationship that you've been sitting on and you've never done anything with, but you have a great relationship with.
Oh. Is this a personal question?
No.
That's what interviews say. Something you want to know for yourself. But yeah, if you have a relationship but you don't know how to ask for it, I would wait until you have the right product to pitch. Don't burn that bridge, unless you really, really need to. And if you have that relationship, and if it's more of a friendship, those are even harder. Because they're going to lean on you a little bit more, and they're going to want more out of you. So just be ready to deliver, I would say. Just be ready to deliver. And just have a good, clear understanding of what their initiative is. Like, what do they want to accomplish? and does that coincide with what you're trying to do? Because a lot of times, if their whole initiative and their budget and funding is for Latin American between 18 and 25, but you're doing a spoken word conference, you know what I'm saying? Like, I lost you for a second, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I was sitting here like, okay, a spoken word conference. Finish
Right.
your thought.
But that's where it cut off?
Yes.
Oh, I was saying.
A lot of brilliant stuff after that.
Well, no, I was saying if somebody is looking to get in front of like a Latin or multicultural audience, and you're trying to produce a spoken word conference, and you're trying to force their hand to work with you, your messaging and their messaging is two different conversations happening. So
Okay.
I would just say make sure that whatever their pitch is, whatever the thing is it coincides with whatever you're trying to do. Makes your job easier.
So it's all about the message, making sure that both messages kind of mesh together so that there's no divide in the overall product.
Right.
And be able to deliver. Definitely. Definitely be able to deliver.
Correct.
Now, all of that aside, we figured out, what the processes are in putting together these things, how to go about the sponsors. But let's talk about getting the support of the city. Because as your product grew, you had to go to different spaces. Now, I know that the Masquerade was a wonderful space, but it is also developed into a community that now, residential community. So I'm sure that that's harder to do. So tell us about getting the support of the city when putting together a large project like ONE Musicfest.
You get the support of the city to a degree. I mean, you got to get your permits, your license, police, but it's really community based. Atlanta is a special kind of city. Atlanta put a lot of power into the communities, which is good and which is bad. So, you have these MPUs that have a lot of control and have the voice over certain communities and areas. So, can an MPU block you from doing an event? No, they can make it difficult for you. But
now, before you go on to that, explain what an MPU is, because people on the line may not know what that is.
It's like a neighborhood planning unit.
A neighborhood planning unit, okay.
So it's like I believe that's what it stands for. But it's so like Fourth Ward Park will have its specific NPU. You have Edgewood Boulevard will have its own NPU. East Atlanta has its own NPU. Grant Park has its own NPU. So in doing certain events in certain areas, you kind of have to get the blessings and sit in on some of their monthly or weekly meetings and present what you're doing. Ironically, we really didn't have any pushback. And we didn't have any complaints after we had ONE Musicfest, which was a blessing. So they could make, if they didn't want it in the community, they can make it difficult, but they can't really block us from doing it. I mean, it's a public park, and if the city grants you licensing rights to be there, then you have every right in the world to be there. But they can make it difficult for you. So the city, to a degree, was involved, but not really. Not so much. I wish there would be more involved. I think there's so much room for growth as far as cultural growth and just activities in Atlanta with all these different types of people you got running around here in Atlanta. You can have a different festival every week for a different type of person or people that live in Atlanta. I just don't think there's enough of that. So I don't know if I answered your question though.
I think you kind of did. And I like that you said that you would love for the community to be more involved, or the city to be more involved. One of the other things that I want to talk about is entertainment tourism, and how an event like One Music Fest can actually bring in people from other cities. Now, I don't know if you have the statistics on how many people came in from other cities to participate in the previous years, or do you have any plans for people coming in this year? But how does your event specifically impact the economy in those particular areas that you host your event?
It does to a degree. The percentage, I don't know the percentage of people that came in town. I think the magic number is for Atlanta is 10,000. If you get 10,000 people traveling to a city for a conference or event, they're kind of forced to get more involved. Because it does impact hospitality, travel, hotel, lodging, everything, transportation. So I don't know. I mean, I met a group of guys from Belgium and London that came in just as they said, we saw Snoop Dogg and it was an excuse to come to Atlanta. So yeah, so that's why we're here. So it's a good statistic to grab. But I think we're somewhere tap dancing around outside of Atlanta. Maybe around 20% of our audience comes from outside of Atlanta.
Okay, so about 20% of your audience comes from outside of Atlanta. And how many people have come out? I would say let's pick last year. How many people came out last year to the concert?
The overall number?
Yeah, overall number.
We had about 8,000 people last year.
About 8,000 people came out. Okay. So what would be your sweet number? What would be your sweet spot? What would be the number that would get you excited and be like, oh my God, we're going to do so much expansion at this point?
I mean, if we can figure out a way to take it a 2 to 3 day festival and each day have about 15 to 18,000 people, I mean, that's the end goal. But if you gotta, that's going to take some building. But I think the Amphitheater has infrastructure for something like that, though.
So you feel like you'll be able to do the Amphitheater for another couple years based on just the logistics of planning for this year?
I think so. I really want to see how it works. I want to get the feedback from the people. It gives you the best of both worlds. I mean, you got an area of grass space that can hold up to 12,000 people. If you don't like the whole grass idea and you want seating, you got seating. If you don't like the whole seating thing and you want to be up close to the stage, you got a pit where you can stand up right in front of your artist. So you have 3 different levels of tickets. Then we have, for the second stage, regardless if you have a reserved seat, a pit ticket, or a lawn ticket, the second stage is really first come, first served. So you can just kind of run up to the stage and be front and center at the second stage. It has area to grow as far as your food trucks. It has areas to grow as far as putting up more staging. Parking is not a problem. Public transportation is not a problem. It's a secured venue. It feels good. I mean, I like it. It's less than 10 minutes from downtown. I live by Grant Park, and it takes me all but 6-7 minutes to get to the Amphitheater. Okay. So it's great for folks that live in this side of town as well. So you're grabbing people from the south side and downtown, the midtown area. I like what the Amphitheater has to offer. I really do. The production is incredible. 2 huge jumbotron screens, so wherever you are, you can always see what's going on stage. You have an indoor VIP lounge area now, so you can kind of step up your VIP experience. It's dope. And I haven't been out there since the birthday bash in maybe 98, 99 with DMX and Jay-Z, and that was the last time I've been out there. And somebody said, you should go check it out. I said, man, all right. So I went out there, I checked it out. I said, oh, no, this is crazy. This is perfect. So,
and I'm sure that from a production standpoint, again, from a production standpoint in regards to building stages and setting up, this is actually more cost effective.
It's very effective. I mean, some people want to be in the urban city environment on a patch of grass in the middle of Atlanta. I mean, that's sexy. I like that too, but you can't go nowhere in Atlanta now. Like, we can't get Piedmont Park. The city ain't gonna let us get Piedmont Park.
Oh yeah.
We can't get Candler Park. Like we can't. And Centennial's difficult. So I'll be surprised to see what they do with the Outcast show. But Centennial can be tricky. So who knows? I think if we were to go anywhere other than Amphitheater, it would be Centennial Park. But Centennial Park is very tricky. It's hard to, and people that aren't from Atlanta are like, what are you talking about? Centennial Park is a city in the middle of, it's a little park in the middle of the city, but it's hard to contain. And it's in the middle of everything. So around you got hotels and the Georgia Dome and the World Congress Center and Phillips Arena. It's just a hard area to really kind of contain, to do a ticketed event.
And then I would assume because of the length, the time frame that you guys actually run until, that might even be more difficult because you end way into the wee hours of the morning.
Well, live music has to stop in Atlanta anyway at 11 o'clock, regardless of where we are. So.
Oh, I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, amplified sound has to end at 11.
Wow, okay. So we will be on time, in time. All right, everybody, you hear that? Right now, I want to announce that we are giving away tickets here on DIRadioCast. If you are watching the broadcast and you've heard anything that was amazing that Jay Carter said, make sure you quote him, enter to win. You're going to see a golden ticket is going to pop up. Click on the golden ticket and leave your comment based on what you've heard from Jay Carter, something memorable that he said. And we will be picking our winners on September 5th, 2014. That is DIRadioCast 8-year anniversary. So make sure you tune in. If you are watching on the rebroadcast of this, you still have an opportunity to win tickets to the ONE Musicfest. Headliners will be celebrating 20 years of Illmatic. Like, that is like, I don't know if anything else that comes after that. I saw Bilal is on here as well.
Bilal is up on there. Yeah,
yes.
All time favorite. Mm-hmm.
Bilal is on there, and if you guys have checked out DIRadioCast before, Bilal is actually one of the major supporters of the Sickle Cell Thalassemia Patients Network, and he's done interviews here on DIRadioCast in support of sickle cell. September is also Sickle Cell Awareness Month, so please make sure that you pay attention to this particular broadcast and click on the golden ticket to enter to win tickets for the ONE Music Festival. As we get ready to wrap up, Jay, I would love to ask you one thing. Well, I mean, pretty much you said Nas is your all-time favorite. But right now, inside your phone and your iPod, your tape deck, I don't even know if they have that.
really stuff here. All right.
What are the top 5 singles that you're listening to right now?
Oh man. Top 5 singles.
Yes.
Ugh. New music?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. New music, old music. The top 5 songs that if I go in your phone, your iPod, or in your car, I would hear. I'm guaranteed to hear.
Well, you know, my son. I have a 2-year-old, so all he wants to hear is Pharrell Happy. That's it. So that gets some crunk in the morning. But some of the music that I'm listening to isn't that popular. You know.
It doesn't matter.
I'm trying to figure out.
See, music. When you ask a question like this, it helps you figure out the personality of the person. I think if you know the top 5 songs that a person is listening to, you can kind of feel out what type of person that person is. So it doesn't have to be popular music. We don't have to know who those artists are. We just need to know what you're listening to. What gets you hot? Besides happy.
I still listen to classic Nas. On a regular. As an artist, I like Little Dragon. I still listen. So I don't know if you're familiar with Little Dragon. And it's somebody who's similar to Little Dragon. Her name is FKA Twig. Very abstract. What else am I listening to that kind of gets me going? I I do listen to Kendrick. Kendrick has some new stuff that's coming out. So we had a chance to kind of take a little peek at that. And what else? I don't know. I'm all over the place on music. I'm really all over the
Okay.
place on music.
So we have Pharrell happy because your son loves it.
He loves it. I
Classic
have to play that.
classic,
Yeah.
classic Nas, Lil Dragon, FKA,
Twig. Yep. FKA Twig.
Twig, and Kendrick Lamar. Those are the five artists or songs that you can hear playing in your truck, your car, your whatever, your iPod, your whatever you're using. Those are what we can hear you listening to.
Yep.
All right. Now let's finish up on social media. How can people find you, and how can they connect? Again, if you're watching this broadcast, click on the showcase or the Q&A button, and you will a pop-out screen will pop out, and you will see links to One Music Fest ticketing, as well as links to the One Music Fest website. If you have any other questions, Jay Carter is going to tell you how you can get in contact with him or One Music Fest. Go ahead, Jay, take it away.
Well, One Music Fest, the website is ONE. One is spelled out, musicfest.com. The Twitter handle is the same, at onemusicfest.com. Instagram is the same, at onemusicfest.com. And myself, on Instagram and Twitter is Jay Carter, JCARTER, Ology, OLOGY, Jay Carterology. That's it, really.
There you go. Check out onemusicfest.com. That's onemusicfest.com. This is Africa Allah, and you are tuned in live to DI on Live. And we are in our 7th episode music series with Jay Carter. Thank you so much, Jay Carter, for participating in today's On Live, and we look forward to covering the 2014 One Music Fest.
I appreciate you having me. It's a pleasure.